In propagating plants, you have the ability to increase numbers of plants for your garden and enjoy them, yet we're not digging plants from the wild. We're talking about learning how to propagate plants from seed propagation, cutting propagation, division propagation, micropropagation, and grafting. So in propagating plants, what we first want to remember is we're doing this so that we're not digging plants or taking plants from the wild. Too many plants worldwide have become extinct because of the desires of gardeners to have those plants in their home. Seed propagation is one of my favorite methods of plant propagation because if you really think about in the wild, a given plant, it might have 1,000 seeds. But from that 1,000 seeds, 1 or 2 maybe will develop into a plant. By learning methods of plant propagation, specifically seeds, we can collect those 1,000 seeds, and our goal is to have 1,000 new plants. I like to keep all my seeds stored in glass jars. The seeds were ripe the day they came off the vine. I don't want to have any surface moisture on my seeds prior to storing them. So I often lay them out on a screen or on a paper towel because I don't want them losing or gaining any moisture in my refrigerator. And that's a great temperature to store most seeds at. Many seeds need a simulated winter. They need to have that period of chill because in their native habitat they have a winter period. They've evolved so that they won't germinate until temperatures are warmer the following spring. It's really important when we're purchasing seeds to get seeds from a reputable firm, a firm that we know doesn't collect any plants in the wild, as well as a local business or a firm that really is improving seed varieties so that all of us have improved species to work with in the future. Or cutting propagation is a tremendous way to have an identical genetic clone of the parent plant, because what you're doing with cuttings is simply taking a portion of that parent plant, removing it, rooting it, so that you have a new growing plant. Cuttings can be defined oftentimes as softwood cuttings from plants where the cutting is taken when the plant's vigorously growing. Semi-hardwood from that year's growth, but it's a little bit more mature, and hardwood cuttings, those species such as cone-bearing plants, conifers, whose cuttings we take from mature tissue in the winter. All different types. Cuttings are important because some plants are actually seedless clones, and the only way to have a great new plant of that beautiful African blue basil is to take a cutting and root it, and they'll root quite easily from a softwood cutting. Division propagation is great fun because oftentimes by simply taking a growing plant, and the plant could be dormant at the time you divide it, and some plant species are actively growing when they're appropriately divided. Taking that larger growing plant and using techniques to have additional plants by simply dividing that large clump allows us to have fantastic new plants in our garden. The only appropriate time of year to ever divide a plant is when you have time to do a really great job. And that means oftentimes using a sharp tool to slice, 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 slice down around the whole clump. And then I take a spading fork, a 4-tined, thick-tined spading fork, and I actually, in the center of the plant, take 2 spading forks back to back, drive them down as deep as I can get them, and then part that plant. And then at a 90-degree angle, do the same. In learning to divide plants, one gets from the division offsets a genetic duplicate of the parent plant. And that's the great beauty in division propagation, is one can take one tremendous specimen and multiply it out to have several. Micropropagation is sometimes called tissue culture, but tissue culture is just one form of micropropagation. Just by the very term, micropropagation means taking a very small plant piece, typically from the most terminal growing tip. That tip of that plant is put in an auger with many, many very specific plant growing hormones that encourage it to multiply and grow. Each of those new tips are put in an auger to multiply and grow. Each of those new tips put in an auger to multiply and grow. When you have your million, cut all those tips and put them in a new auger to encourage rooting. There you go. It's as simple as that and as complex as that. Many plants in the industry, before we knew how to easily root them from cuttings, we did know how to graft plants. We still employ grafting for fruit trees because, boy, we want to have fruits that we can pick standing on the ground rather than using orchard ladders and all the associated safety with climbing a ladder to get a bushel of fruit. So we like dwarf fruit trees. There are rootstocks that will take a tree whose normal height would be 40 or 50 feet, and if we graft it onto a very specific rootstock, we'll have a beautiful Gala apple or a Fuji, or name your favorite. In grafting it, we can have a 6-foot plant, so therefore we can just pick all the fruit right off the tree. It's much easier for pruning too, to graft our fruit trees. Here at Clackamas Community College, each term we have a class in plant propagation. Some of the classes are hands-on and the students carry out these various methods of plant propagation. Some of the classes are a lecture, so students can discuss and learn about all the choices. Either way, I hope that you join us at Clackamas Community College here in the Horticulture Department. You'll be glad you did.